a panel discussion that we are going to have, which is going to be on the topic and premise of MarTech 2.0, increasing efficiency with marketing automation. And this session, ladies and gentlemen, shall be moderated by Ms. Priya Choudhary, who is the Director Business Solutions at Google. And the panel members are going to comprise of Ms. Darshana Shah, Head Marketing and Customer Experience at the Aditya Birla Capital Group, and Mr. Dippak Khurana, co-founder and CEO at Vserv, and Mr. Puneeth Bekal, Director Marketing at Mastercard. So can I request our eminent set of panel members and moderator to please join us on stage? Yes, please. So I repeat, Ms. Priya Choudhary, Director Business Solutions, Google. She's going to be the moderator. We have with us Ms. Darshana Shah, Head Marketing and Customer Experience at Aditya Birla Capital. Mr. Dippak Khurana, Co-founder and CEO at Vserv. Mr. Puneeth Bekal, Director Marketing, Mastercard. With this context, over to you all.
Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to my fellow panelists. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So we have with us today Darshana, Dippak, and Puneeth, and a very eminent panel. And it promises to be a really engaging session, so please stay tuned in. So welcome, Darshana, Dippak, Puneeth. I think, I wanted to kick off this session by a favorite quote of mine. It's from Henry Ford. And it says that reducing advertising to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. So I thought it was very appropriate for this session because it's a very relevant topic for our conversation today, and we'll be talking about how marketing technologies contribute to increasing efficiency, and would love to get a point of view from all three of you. Let me start with you, Darshana. Darshana, your organization particularly has been one of the early movers towards adoption of digital technology. And it would be amazing to understand from you, and if you could share a view with us and with the audience here on your journey and the key technologies which have become an important part of your life, and how did you go about it?
So thank you, and thank you everybody here sitting late in the evening and listening to us. So I'll tell you, so this whole technology and from the marketing world, your tech starts moving as your customer, your consumer behavior starts moving. So when we started our health insurance business 6 years back, we were looking at not just health insurance, we were looking at health as our entire, thinking. That means we had to engage a lot with the consumers that we were bringing in. And that's why at that time, we wanted to be, we were a digital first when we launched our brand like the Birla Health Insurance with our entire digital app, where the entire ecosystem was the new buzz thing that time. So we created an entire health ecosystem where the entire journey of a consumer was that you know your health, you improve your health, you get rewarded. Now, this entire thing sounds nice as a marketer when I'm launching it, but there's a lot of things that's happening, and the thing that you have to decide. First thing is, I can tell you, I am one of those generations as a CMO where Microsoft taught us a lot of things. So we were that whole Microsoft generation, and then, your CRM also is Microsoft and all of that. Then came the whole Adobe suite of things. Adobe came in because that's where the entire full, Adobe had the full stack. Everything from their CMS, experience, analytics, all of that, and very expensive, but it was Adobe. It was, one of the things that if your organization had, that which means as a marketer, you knew how to, do things. And that's where the whole data, loyalty, customer coming back, a lot of those other things were coming in that time. I'm talking about, let's say, 5 years, 6 years. And anybody who's used Adobe suite of things, you know that how, apart from being expensive, it is very, very, challenging. You need coders and you need vendors, and it's not easy. So that's the journey I have started. Then obviously there was Netcore. My friend Netcore will be here. Netcore, for a lot of our front-end dissemination, all of us, started early on the MarTech. We would have used Netcore in some point, or are still using. Now, where things starts getting challenging, and like I said, we were the organization which started from health, not health insurance. We didn't want to just be that, buy and sell, but buy and engage. Now, the whole engagement needed a journey, which means I have to know you. I have to understand what kind of health behavior you are showing. capture that data, then start talking to you in your one-to-one, because what I can talk to, let's say Deepak and I have similar many things. Your demographic can be similar. Of course, now I'm talking about different sex, but at the same time, can I say the same thing to Deepak because he's a runner and I'm also a runner? No. So we had the whole world of personalization started. So now there is, first of all, data by itself, which is a complex animal, and I can tell you, in my kind of large organizations, we are, Aditya Birla Group, in that capital, 14 line of businesses, a lot of regulation in the background. So our data is also living in silos. So the first big challenge was to start bringing all that, because there's offline data, online data, start bringing data together. Then comes the whole analytics, because you have to start understanding. So there is a, entire, what is that customer mindset, not just the demographic. So putting that together, and then coming into the whole dissemination of, so your app-based dissemination, the world became omni-channel. In last 3 years, the world started becoming omni-channel. So now you had to catch customer real time, where they are, and start engaging and talking to them. This required a different set of, MarTech tools. So where I started from Microsoft to Adobe, then came the new age tools, which are more easy stack, the Clever Tap, all the CDP platforms, the customer data platform. There are many out there. And I know I have tried Lemonist, we have Clever Tap, met More Engage, tried Web Engage, and there are many, many different, CDP platforms that they call you. And then comes the whole final dissemination, where on your WhatsApp it is different, your chatbot it is different. So consumer journeys became omni-channel. Our tech tools started becoming, whilst UI-wise simpler, but still complicated, because now we had to stitch this whole journey. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, that it is not easy, because like some of the platforms were very good, they were app first, but they were not good on the offline channel. Now I had to also stitch that. Some of them were very good on the bots, but again, or they missed the bots, but they were very good on the, let's say, website. So the platforms were learning with us. We were learning with the way consumer was behaving. And in a financial services, another layer to add is consumers were learning from the QSRs. They wanted the Swiggy and Zomato experience on the claim experience. They wanted the Amazon experience on your money that you are lending. I wanted 2 minutes loan. I want 5 minutes claim settlement. So imagine the entire technology background that first we have to create, because there is KYC, there is a lot of CIBIL scores, a lot of things, there's regulation which is coming to play. On top of that, we had to put in our MarTech intelligence to bring the whole engagement seamlessly and do the fulfillment. So it is a very, very complex journey. But I have, and I'm not saying I'm seeing it all, I'm working with the complexity starts when the consumers become demanding, and the tech platform, there are too many startups who come to you, and then they start telling you that we can do this, we can do that. So our legacy systems, where we start getting more and more integrated to today's new world, where I was just saying that we want to be more modular. We don't want to be integrated, because, and then we have to answer to our boards. We have to answer to an ROI, because I have invested so much on the technology, and now suddenly you're saying this is defunct, this is not making sense. I want this new age Clever Tap or More Engage or whatever to use, and it is more UI friendly, it is cheaper. But what happened to what did I do with Adobe earlier? What happens to the earlier things that I have, bought in? So this omni-channel, real-time experience, hyper-personalization is extremely demanding. And that's a game we are playing, because we are talking about consumers' health, and we want engagement, we want stickiness. Finally, it's about renewal. So, that's the journey I am living today, and I can't say that I know it all, but from an early generation of MarTech to the new age tools, and across the social, omni-channel world, is a very, very interesting, complicated, and I hope there is somebody, and it's a group that we are living in, right? I'm Aditya Birla Group, so I have a Voda Idea Intelligence, I have Fashion Retail Intelligence, but still all of us are struggling. I don't think any of us can say that we've got it right. We are playing, learning, so I hope there's somebody who can tell me that they know it all, but we're still discovering ourselves. And that's my learnings.
No, absolutely. I think it's a fascinating journey, first of all, Darshana. So thanks for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. MarTech journeys are complex, and they are evolving. And even the best organizations can't claim to say that they know it all. So we are all learning, and hope to, like you said, one day we crack it completely. But we are far away in that journey. But I think a good segue into my next question, and Deepak, this is to you. We say data is the new oil, but we are living in an overabundance of data. We were talking about it outside as well, that there are so many choices. And a lot of data getting generated in the media ecosystem, whether it is online data or offline data which exists as CRM. Now, some of the issues that we are grappling with when we speak to a lot of our advertisers and we are consulting them on is how do we bring this data together to be able to create meaningful connections and drive efficiency, not just media efficiency, but non-media transaction efficiency as well. It'll be great to understand, Deepak, how you're working through some of these things when you work with your set of advertisers, some of the use cases that you think you could share where you were able to bring this together and drive efficiency. It'll be great to understand that.
Sure. Okay. I just want to make a comment on what Darshana was echoing. I think time and again, we are always very curious enough and we are always trying to push boundaries when it comes to building efficiencies. So most times, whether it is engaging with customers, whether it is personalization, whether it is a CDP or whatever MarTech tool we are looking at, it's largely driving more and more efficiency. And I think that efficiency journey is going to remain with us and we will constantly be improving on it. Talking about the point about data and abundance of data, I think we all are familiar with the fact that all of us as consumers now, if we look back 4 or 5 years ago to where we stand today, technically we are all connected. We are all having our digital journeys at a variety of different places. So as that engagement continues to grow very rapidly, we are leaving breadcrumbs of our digital footprint at lots and lots of different places. So you could say that, listen, the country has become data rich. Okay, the organizations have become data rich and the richness is growing very rapidly. Someone could have said this 10 years ago that, look, Google, Facebook sit with a lot of data because they have scale and they've managed to build customer intelligence at their end. And that's the USP of Google, Facebook. Okay, fast track this to today, and if you fast track this into the future, this is going to become like a commodity. Lots and lots of enterprises will have intelligence and they will use that to their advantage. Now, from a use case perspective, everyone is familiar that, look, a brand or an enterprise has their first party data. They have transacting cohorts. They have people who are interested. So they are constantly segmenting, resegmenting basis that intelligence. So there's going to be that world, and obviously that data is also exploding. Yeah. So that will be a continuous process at one end. On the other hand, there will be alternate platforms. Like at Vserv, we are the alternate platform. What we are doing is we are basically aggregating a lot of alternate intelligence without storing any of the intelligence on our tool. So we plugged into a variety of partners so that enterprises who need alternate intelligence beyond the intelligence which they already have, because consumers are leaving digital footprints at a variety of places, how can they have access to it and utilize it for a marketing activation perspective? So one of the fintech brand which works with us, or even banks which work with us, a lot of e-commerce brands who work with us, they have their first party data. They come to us for alternate intelligence. And through that alternate intelligence, we are able to resegment their customers so that they can get better insights from their planning perspective on what these customers are doing at other places, okay, and then utilize that for an activation perspective. So they would then say, look, I've got alternate intelligence, now make this multi-channel for us. It should not be restrictive, because if I've got my intelligence which has gotten so well expanded, can I decide my campaign strategy, whether that campaign strategy has to dovetail into YouTube or into Facebook or into DV or any platform, or for that matter, into my MarTech platforms, whether it is my SMS ecosystem, my WhatsApp ecosystem, so on and so forth. So that's the kind of work which we are doing. And we've seen, we go and actually tell people that, look, if you have access to this alternate intelligence, we've got a use case out here where a brand took this alternate intelligence and ran an activity on YouTube and say generated awareness with that. Then using the same intelligence, the next thing they did was they took the same intelligence and applied it on Facebook to run a a performance campaign for that matter. So here you had two ecosystems, Google and Facebook, which are closed wall garden themselves. Okay, but the brand was in control here because the brand said, look, I've got the alternate intelligence. I'm going to run this first on YouTube and drive awareness, and then I'm going to use the same intelligence on a Facebook platform and get my ROI from it. Okay, and we saw like a 2x lift on conversions. And from a brand perspective, it became a cross-platform, full funnel strategy. So those are the kind of use cases which we are doing. And we are constantly trying to make it easier for brands to get more and more alternate intelligence. And I feel that in the MarTech space, I really feel that that's the next level of innovation, or that's the next need of efficiency, where you've got your pipes built in, you've got your engagements going. Now, how do you make it more and more intelligent so that before you talk about artificial intelligence, you are basically saying, let me get deterministic alternate intelligence.
Yeah, no, really helpful. And the genesis of all of this, like you rightly said, any O2O solution that we build is your own first-party data first. And any automated solution that you build in the form of machine learning works on the data. So Puneeth, my next question to you, how important do you think is the quality of this data when you build any automated solution, and sort of anything that you could share which you're doing towards improving this and building on top?
Sure. So I think the quality of data is the most important aspect for any campaign in data mining. And to be honest, this is the least spoken about subject in the marketing fraternity. Pre-processing the data before the format of the data is put into any software or a machine learning system is critical for you to understand the accuracy of the prediction or accuracy of the output that you're going to deliver. Right? So for us, over years, we have realized that if you have to summarize how do you pre-process the data, it falls into two buckets. The first is something which we call it as variable transformation, in the sense that if you have many variables into the system, how do you scale and normalize the variables so that different variables fall into the same space or digital space? That's what you call. For example, if you have household income as one variable, and if you have number of cars as another, the units are way different, right? Like from single digits to thousands and in lakhs. So how do you normalize these data points so that so the machine acts coherently in form of an output is an important exercise. The second and the most important thing, which I think is again a fallacy in the data science world, is dimension reduction. In the sense, how do you select the appropriate input variables for your objective of the campaign is a key to make sure that you're optimizing the campaign on a regular basis. There is a common perception that more data is better. But to be honest, when you keep on adding variables into an algorithm or a system, what you're doing is essentially your digital space is getting sparser, which means your classification, clustering, behavioral dynamics, or for that matter, predictions becomes weaker. Now, let's take an example of like a chessboard. When you look at a chessboard, you have 64 options to choose from, as compared to your cube, which has got 512 options to choose from. So instead of confusing the machine, it's better that you optimize the machine with variables which you think are going to influence the output, one. Second is look at variables where you can combine those variables together. For example, one of the projects which I was working, we found that 92% of retail shoppers are the ones who also inquired for a property in real estate in the same group. So does it mean that the machine needs to have both the data sets or just one? To weed out redundant and useless data. There are many techniques as to how you arrive at a optimized data set, which is in input to data mining software. I think this is a very key and important step which we all miss because, as everyone said, garbage in, garbage out. So it's important to optimize the data at the beginning itself so that you have accuracy in predictions, which basically means you're optimizing the campaign on a month-to-month or a week-to-week basis.
Thanks. I think really important words. This is garbage in, garbage out. So the kind of quality of data that you input, most likely all the models that we work on top of that data are going to work on that data, and hence ensuring quality of first-party data is the most critical. So we spoke a lot, Darshana, Dippak and Puneeth, on technicalities of MarTech, but I wanted to get a human element as well. That changing with this entirely evolving MarTech journeys, I think a lot of onus on you as leaders is also about how you're shaping people and processes. So I think that's a question I want to ask all of you on how have you, embarked on this journey from a people and process perspective, and I'm sure it wasn't easy. Every step is difficult, and would love to get some insights from all three of you on that.
No, so it is complicated, right? So I was just, trying when we were talking, and I said there was a world when we started which was all about SMS and fitting your things in 160 characters, the time when mobile was penetrating, and suddenly Bitly came in our life, and how excited we were that now there's a Bitly, and then you can have a landing page, and then the emailers came, and now suddenly you have WhatsApp, which can, and literally now, I know that, some of the brands in which we also do that, I can send you something on, I can send an emailer, and depending on your action, I can give you the whole, let's say if I know one of the brands who do that I'll send you the meat, and if you're buying that meat, then you'll get your recipe on your WhatsApp, and you'll get your next coupon on your SMS. Now you're personalizing 3 different journeys. So it's a very different, so one of the skill set, because see, when you are trying to adopt these MarTech tools, you are learning a lot from the vendor or the partner who's bringing this. But so to really, for you to really understand and you get your teams trained, and by the time that technology is either redundant or something new has come. So how do you keep, and lately when I see resumes, not in digital, but also in the, this tech side, there'll be one column that I know this, I know HubSpot, I know this, I know DMP, CDP, 360, all of that. Now, how many more are you going to, that's become a big column, and I don't know how much more in the column can you keep adding there, right? So it's a very complex world, but one of the things I realized is the user journey. It's very important what you are solving for. Not just getting expert on the board, but first thing first, I thought the importance over the years, what I've learned, Priya, is the design, the UX, from a consumer journey to the whole UX world, that user experience that we are now talking about, not just a journey, designing this overall experience. The first level of designing the journey, I think that's the change, and that design thinking is a change that you need in your team now, because that somebody is stitching the entire omni-channel journey for you, which is really making your user experience live. And from that thinking or that design, are you bringing in the tools and the objectives? So it's very clearly your journey or your experience as to decide what is the objective that you're trying to solve for the consumer at that point, and then bring in the technology and the change in the process. So it's not process first anymore. I feel it's from the design that you bring, or the journey or the user experience that you are first trying to drive. And this kind of skill set is not easily available in the market. So when coming to people and skills, I have realized over the period of time that you rather get your people to adopt and train them to, and not getting experts all the time, because experts you will find at the product end. So whether it is Adobe, this, that, CDP, all of that you're adopting, I will have experts there, and they will have partners in turn that they would have given for India as a region, and so on and so forth. But what is important is that how am I holding everything at my end? So grooming my team, the team that we have, into understanding this entire omni-channel world, understanding the user experience. What is the objective that you're trying to drive at every area or every touch point, the consumer touch point? And so what is the process change? And so we call it something as an entire, we have a customer experience team. I have Manisha sitting here from my team. So we have this entire customer experience team in our organization, and we have champs in each and every function. And those guys have to understand the omni-channel world. They have to understand the digital plus offline. They are the guys sitting in the claims team, in the servicing team, in the product team. There are these champions who are driving this understanding. They put in this entire journey together so that there is no dropping. The baton is, the relay continues, and then comes the tech side of it, and then we start grooming in people. I think that's the discovery over the years, which is currently working for me, and let's see where we go from here.
No, really insightful. I think 3 things I'm taking away. One is deep understanding of the consumer journey, because that is what decides finally the process and the technology that you will adopt. The second is, of course, ensuring that your people understand online, offline worlds very well. And the third is, generalists probably who you will train to become specialists rather than specifically looking for specialists.
So the jack of all is better than the master in,
Yes. No, that's great. Deepak, over to you.
I think from what we've seen at Vserv, and we as an organization have been around for like 10, 11 years, and there was phase 1 as a founder, and then there is a phase 2 of the business. We started with in the space where we were in the feature phone space, and then we had to pivot fully, talking about a changing landscape like ours, which is the digital marketing environment. I think the one thing which I've seen closely is that agility is becoming increasingly important. So as a practice, what we do in our organization is we tell people that, listen, we all need to be constantly agile. The concept of HR does not exist with us. We tell our managers that HR is more an admin function, okay, but the engagement should be done by team leaders and by people in the team. So we put the onus on the team, saying that you guys are responsible for your group. We believe that at a people level, once you have a right bunch of people coming as a group of, for every team, we look for at least 3 people where we feel they score well from an attitude perspective, from a team first perspective, from discipline and work ethic perspective, apart from their IQ. Because we believe that once we have those 3 people out of 10 people in that group, those 3 people in many ways self-police. They don't let someone else enter that team, because they maintain the culture of the team by following that. Another thing which we've done with people, and this is, we don't celebrate people at all. So we celebrate moments. We break it down into saying that, look, in the last 3 months, everything for us is a project. It's not an individual task. So we never do that. We try to tie it down into saying that, okay, this project was done with a combination of tech, product, delivery and business teams, or whatever permutation combination is there, but it's never an individual. So we've taken that piece out. So just agility, team, and then constantly telling folks that, just focus on what you say, really maniacal prioritization, because in the changing world, that's another aspect, and just open, transparent conversations in the team. So that's keeping it going for us for now.
That's amazing. Great to hear all of this. I think sharp prioritization is the call of the hour for all of us, and amazing. Even the points that you made about hiring attitudinally right talent, I think that's a big step. What about you, Puneeth?
So we have a model and a framework which helps us to fit in all actions irrespective of the context and the objective of the campaign. Something called the 5P model, right? It starts with planning, where you build intelligent strategies basis your objectives and your segments. Then you have production, which means creating intelligent content for each of the segments. Then you have personalization as to how do you render the specific content pieces to specific cohorts. Then you have promotion, which all of us do. And finally, performance as to how data is used for insight, and then the loop, optimizes on its own. To add to Darshana's point, on the consumer journey, I think this is something which all teams across brands need to be constantly evolving. For example, if we have a journey of from reach to action to conversion to engagement post-purchase, right? Now, in the reach phase, you do programmatic, which we all do. You pick and choose your media mix optimization tools to figure out which media will give you the maximum reach. But the question then you ask yourself, should we do voice search, which most people nowadays are not doing. In fact, including us, we don't do it. For example, when the consumer is acting on your information, Are we only looking at predictive analytics? Should we look at behavioral insights? Should we look at AI targeting for that matter? Or should we look at some other tools which we typically don't use? How do you mix and match tools for you to get greater efficiencies and accuracies? For example, in the conversion phase, while you look at dynamic pricing or discounting for different customer cohorts, should we also look at something like a chatbot? There is a clear insight and research today which suggests that there is 35% increase in conversions when you have a chatbot assisting a sales personnel. And finally, when it comes to engagement, do you look at engagement from a cross-sell and upsell point of view, and hence what are the automated tools available in the market today to build on that? So what I'm trying to come at is to summarize that you look at it from three aspects where you land, right? One is segmentation, segmenting and understanding your consumers, which is key to any business. Then data unification, which Dippak said, how do you get all the data points at one place? And finally, then use your insighting to automate on a regular basis.
Really, really useful, Puneeth. And like I think all three of you said, without processes and people, this journey, we will not be able to really go far in this journey. I think our time is also up, and we did a phenomenal job of keeping time. So thanks a lot. I think this was really, really insightful for me, very engaging. I hope all of you felt similarly. And thank you so much for taking time out.